New York is an important state for business in the United States. It's no wonder many of the biggest corporations have locations and headquarters in New York City. It's an exciting place to be, but that doesn't mean it's easy for businesses. Business owners looking to establish a small business in New York will need to be aware of all the state taxes and regulations that come with setting up shop in New York. Federal taxes will be the same no matter where you go in the United States, but each state has its own tax policies as well. In New York, those policies will depend a lot on what kind of entity your business is. If you expect to file a small business tax return in New York or are trying to decide the type of entity to form in the state, it's good to learn about the different state tax requirements. All corporations in New York must pay a corporation franchise tax. If you plan to form a C-Corp in New York, you'll need to learn how to calculate this to pay your state corporation tax. Many big corporations find ways to artificially keep their tax rate low, so New York State requires corporations to calculate their franchise tax 4 different ways and pay the highest of the 4. This is intended to fairly assess your tax base and stop companies from exploiting loopholes. But it also makes the process more complicated and confusing for business owners. Here are the 4 options. Net income taxed at 7.1% or 6.5% depending on total net income. Business capital taxed at 0.15%. Minimum taxable income taxed at 1.5%, and a fixed dollar minimum tax with flat rates on gross income. Given the intricacies in all these methods, it's highly recommended to consult an accountant to be sure you're paying the right amount. Corporations with fewer than 100 shareholders can apply with the IRS to be recognized as an S-Corp business entity for federal tax purposes. This means the S-Corporation will not be subject to the corporate tax rate at the federal level, and shareholders will file business income solely on their personal tax returns. But New York does not exempt S-Corps from paying corporate taxes. S-corporations in New York must pay the corporate franchise tax, but they are allowed to pay somewhat lower tax rates than other corporations. A limited liability company is a business entity that protects members from liability while offering flexibility in filing status. Members of an LLC usually pay federal income taxes only at the individual level. However, they can also file an LLC as a partnership or a corporation for federal tax purposes. State taxes on an LLC in New York similarly depend on how the LLC chooses to be classified. If an LLC files as a corporation, it'll be subject to corporate tax rate in New York. Any other LLC not filed as a corporation in New York will instead pay a state filing fee. This filing fee is an annual payment set according to a company's gross income. The filing fee for LLCs and LLPs in New York is $25 for any company with $100,000 or less in gross income. The fee goes up as gross income goes up, with a maximum filing fee of $4,500 for companies with a gross income of more than $25 million in the previous tax year. Partnerships in New York are taxed similarly to LLCs. If your business entity is a partnership, you don't pay taxes at the corporate level. Still, the income passes through to the individual owners of the partnership and their personal tax returns. Like all business owners, partnership owners will need to pay state income taxes on their personal returns. However, with a partnership, you may also need to pay the state filing fee. Fortunately, only partnerships with a gross income higher than $1 million have to pay the filing fee. With a sole proprietorship as your business entity in New York, you don't need to worry about any specific New York state taxes on your business. As the lone owner of your business, all of your business income counts as personal income for your tax return, and you will pay taxes according to your personal rate. The personal income tax rate in New York uses tax brackets based on the level of income, just like the federal system. You can register for charging and remitting New York sales tax through your business online services account. Once registered, sales tax filing is required regularly depending on the reporting period you set. File sales tax returns even if you made no sales in that period. The sales tax rate for the state of New York is 4%, but local and municipal taxes will vary widely. Make sure you consult local regulations or a sales tax calculator. New York property tax will also range depending on your area. In New York, Businesses can handle nearly all of their state tax obligations online once they have a business online services account. You can create an online services account at the state website and start receiving and paying bills on that same platform. Once registered, then you can use your business account online to handle estimated tax withholding for employees, annual tax returns, sales tax, and more. A local accountant with tax expertise will know better than anyone how to handle taxation and finance requirements in New York or wherever you establish your business. Not only will they ensure you're paying the right taxes, but they'll identify deductions and credits so that you're not paying more than what you owe. 1-800-ACCOUNTANT will pair you with an accountant who is not only an expert in the New York State tax code, but also an expert in your industry. We can help set up your business entity and provide year-round services to minimize your tax burden. As always, thanks for watching, and if you found this to be educational or informative, helpful or entertaining, please like and subscribe and look for 1-800-ACCOUNTANT on your social media channel of choice.